I've always thought, like most people, that when it comes to sprinting, it's got to be all about just raw power.
Right, just pure muscle.
Yeah, the more muscle, the better. Like you see these giant athletes, you just think, man, they're fast. But
Yeah.
then you sent over this IAAF research,
Yeah.
and it kind of blew my mind, really changed my perspective on things.
Fascinating stuff, yeah.
So we're talking about the IAAF, we're talking about the governing body of athletics itself. Like, they're the big leagues.
The real DA.
They're the ones that really understand this stuff. So what did they find that's got us so excited for this deep dive?
Well, they were really interested in the mechanics of sprinting,
Okay.
specifically that really important acceleration phase.
Right.
And to study this, they used this amazing treadmill. But it wasn't just any treadmill.
Okay.
This one was special because it could measure not only how hard the runner was pushing down, but also the direction of that force.
Okay.
So like how much of that push was actually going forward.
Oh, interesting.
They called that horizontal ground reaction force,
Okay.
or FRCT for short.
So FRCT, so we're talking about horizontal force. This is how much of the force when you're pushing off the ground is actually pushing you forward, not just up and down.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. So it's not enough to just push hard.
Wow.
You got to push in the right direction.
Yeah, it's like imagine you're pushing a really heavy shopping cart.
Okay.
If you push it slightly upwards, it's way harder to move.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're pushing with the same amount of effort.
Makes sense.
Same principle applies to sprinting.
So it's not just about how much force you generate, but also how you actually apply it. That makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And that's what they found with this FRCT. It was actually even more strongly correlated with a runner's 100-meter time than their total force production.
Wow.
It's really all about how effectively they use that force, not just how much force they have.
So you're telling me someone could be benching twice my weight, but I could still beat them in a sprint if I'm applying my force correctly.
That's exactly what this research suggests. It's pretty amazing. And it really highlights how important technique is.
That's a game changer. I mean, that really changes the way you think about training, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
We can get into that a bit later.
Yeah, okay. But it can't just be anyone hopping on this treadmill, right? Like, are we talking about analyzing data from real athletes here?
Oh, absolutely. They had a whole range of participants, from your average recreational runners to national level sprinters.
Okay, so like a good spread.
Yeah, a real spectrum. But, and here's the really exciting part, they even got data from a world-class athlete,
Okay, who are we talking?
Christophe Lemaitre,
No way.
the 2010 European champion.
Wow, Christophe Lemaitre. All right, we're talking about a legend. Okay, so they've got data from across the board, different levels. I can see where this is going. They're comparing what the pros are doing to, the rest of us.
Exactly.
Okay, I am hooked. Let's dive into those findings. What is the secret sauce behind that explosive acceleration?
Well, you remember we were talking about F-hertz?
Oh yeah, horizontal force. It's like seared into my brain now.
Right. That horizontal force is key. And you want to know what they found?
Yeah, tell me.
Christophe Lemaitre, our champion sprinter, had a horizontal force that was a full 12% higher than the national level sprinters.
Wow, 12%.
12%.
And their total force production was similar.
Very similar, yeah. So it really highlights how much of a difference technique can make,
That's wild. 12% just from being better at directing that force? That's insane.
It's not just about being stronger, it's about being more efficient.
Wow.
But here's the thing, it's not just horizontal force that matters.
Okay.
They also looked at the vertical force, FETC, and how that changes throughout the sprint.
Right. Vertical force. So that's more about like how much you're pushing off the ground to go up.
Exactly. It's important for jumping, of course.
Yeah.
But it plays a role in sprinting too, particularly when you reach top speed.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's less critical for that initial acceleration, getting off the blocks.
Yeah, that first burst.
Right. But once you're at full speed, having a strong vertical force helps you really launch yourself forward with each stride.
So it's like once you're already at top speed, it's that extra oomph to maintain it.
Exactly. It's like that extra boost to keep you flying down the track.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got FERCH, we've got FETC. I have to admit, I'm getting a little lost in all these acronyms.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of.
Did the researchers come up with a way to kind of simplify this to measure like how well someone is directing their force overall?
They did. They introduced two key metrics.
Okay.
The first one is called the ratio of forces,
Ratio of forces. Okay.
or RF for short.
RF. Okay, I like that better. Ratio of forces. That makes sense.
So basically, RF is just the percentage of your total force that's directed horizontally.
Okay.
So higher RF means a greater proportion of your power is going into actually propelling you forward rather than just pushing you upwards.
Got it. So the higher the RF, the better the acceleration.
Exactly.
You got it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But it's not enough to just have good force orientation at the start, right?
Right.
You also need to maintain it as you're picking up speed.
Okay.
And that's where the second metric comes in.
Right.
They called this one the Index of Force Application Orientation, or DRF.
Index of force application. Okay, that's a mouthful.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
But I'm sure you're going to break it down and make it crystal clear. Right?
Absolutely. So imagine a sprinter's force output is like a flashlight beam, right?
Okay, yeah.
A high RF means that beam is focused straight ahead, right?
For maximum propulsion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
DRF tells us how well they maintain that focused beam as they accelerate.
Oh, okay.
So if that beam starts to drift upwards as they gain speed, their DRF will be lower,
Interesting.
meaning they're losing some of that forward momentum.
So it's like how steady they can keep that beam of light as they're going faster and faster.
Precisely.
That's a great analogy. So a higher DRF, they're really efficient at maintaining that perfect force orientation the whole time.
Exactly. Throughout their sprint, which leads to better overall performance.
Okay, this is all starting to make a lot of sense now. Okay, my mind is officially blown.
It's pretty amazing stuff.
We've gone from just pushing harder to this whole idea of like force orientation.
It's paradigm shift.
Yeah. But this isn't just about Olympic sprinters, right? Like you're telling me understanding these forces can actually help us move better in just everyday life.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, think about how often do you have to like push or lift something heavy,
Yeah, all the time.
right? Whether it's like furniture or groceries or even just a really heavy door.
Mm-hmm.
That's all about directing your force
Yeah.
effectively.
Hey, yeah, that's true. I never thought about it like that, but you're right.
Right.
It's not just about like brute strength, it's about being smart about it.
Exactly. Working smarter, not harder, as they say.
Okay, so if we're trying to, improve our own force orientation,
Right.
where do we even start?
Well, the researchers in this study, they highlighted the importance of strong hip extensors and ankle stabilizers.
Okay, so we're talking about the glutes, hamstrings, calves,
You got it.
the powerhouse muscles that really drive us forward.
Exactly. Those are the ones.
Okay.
And, they said that exercises like glute bridges, hamstring curls, anything that really strengthens those ankles
Yeah.
can make a big difference.
So it's not just enough to hit the gym, do leg presses. We got to be smarter about it.
Yes.
Target those specific muscles that are going to improve force orientation.
It's all about that fine tuning.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you know what I find so fascinating about this is it kind of opens up a whole new way of thinking about athletic performance in general.
Really?
I mean, it just makes you wonder, could this force orientation concept be applied to other sports,
Yeah.
other activities?
Well, that's really interesting to think about. Like, could focusing on how we apply force, not just how much unlock new levels of like efficiency and performance
Exactly.
in everything from swimming to basketball to, I don't know, even something like ballet.
Who knows? The possibilities are endless.
Wow, it really makes you think.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Well, this deep dive has been a total eye-opener. I'm already looking at my workouts
Yeah.
and even just the way I move every day in a whole new light.
It makes you think differently.
It's really amazing how these like little tweaks to our technique
Right.
can make such a huge difference in how efficiently we move.
Absolutely.
The next time you're struggling with a heavy suitcase or you're trying to beat your best time on that track, remember, it's not just about how much you can lift, but how you lift it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this fascinating deep dive.